everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. This is me, Nicky Sinha, and today I'm going to be discussing an interesting and a very important topic with you. Now, this is actually in Unit 5, which is talking about all the administrative aspects of medieval India. Now, I have chosen a topic called Turkan-i-Chahalgani. Okay. Now, this actually is a topic from Delhi Sultanate. Now, what is Turkan-i-Chahalgani? Let's try to understand. Okay. Now, you all know that the Delhi Sultanate was ruled by slaves, isn't it? They were actually called the slave dynasty in the beginning. Okay. So, now when it came to having a nobility, when they became rulers and emperors and sultans, they needed to have a nobility, isn't it? A nobility which was important for governance and for administration. All right. So, once the consolidation was completed, what they needed was reliable governors and administrators. Now, generally, you would think that the rulers would appoint either the landed chieftains or aristocrats, as their governors. Fine. But the early sultans, especially Iltutmish, he favored a band of his special slave who he had purchased for military service. Now, these were slaves, yes, but it does not mean that they were not educated, right? Or they were not trained, absolutely not. They were purchased for a specific purpose, and they would actually be trained in that very specific thing. So, Iltutmish also had a band of slaves who were trained in military services, and they were known as Bandhan in Persian. Okay, Bandhan in Persian. So, these were carefully trained men, and some of them actually went on to hold very important offices in the kingdom. All right. So, Iltutmish actually never really wanted to trust any aristocrat or any landed chieftains because he knew that he would not be able to control them. But these slaves are the ones that he has bought. He has bought them, and that is why he has full control over these people, and hence the nobility will never conspire against him, which obviously was a chance with other people being a part of the nobility, but then with his slaves being a part of the nobility, that could never have happened. Okay. So, because they were dependent on their master, the Sultan could really trust them and obviously rely upon them. Now, so let's talk about the background. Amiri-Chahalgani, also known as Turkan-i-Chahalgani or Chalisa. Why the word Chalisa? Because they were a group of 40 faithful slaves who came into existence because they were given the task of protecting Shamsuddin al-Tutmish, the third Sultan slave of Delhi Sultanate. So, how did they come into being? So, they are known by different names. Amiri-Chahalgani, Turkan-i-Chahalgani, or Chalisa also. Why Chalisa? Because they were a group of 40 slaves who had come together for what? They had come together to basically protect whom? To protect Iltutmish. Fine. And why have they come together? Because Iltutmish was the third slave sultan of Delhi, and that is why he has number of slaves, which is 40 in number, who have come together to protect him. Okay? Now, this idea of the group was taken by him when he came to realize what? That he came to realize that Turkish nobles cannot be trusted. So, as I told you in the beginning only, he could not have Turkish nobles in his nobility. He could not have landed magnates in his nobility because these people were powerful enough to have toppled him, to have taken over the throne for him, isn't it? So he did not want that. He wanted a group of individuals whom he could trust. and whom he could trust? A group which was specially created for his protection. Fine? So with the passage of time, the group actually becomes very influential. Iltutmish succeeded in keeping the group under control, but after his rule, they became notorious and intrigued against any ruler or successor. Let me explain. So basically what happened, these slaves, they would be appointed by a particular sultan, right? So they would be loyal to that particular sultan to the utmost level, guys, to the utmost level, fine? But the sultan who has bought them, he will be able to keep them in control. But now what happens when the sultan has a successor, a son, or for that matter, anyone, whoever has succeeded the sultan, these Turkan-i-Chahalgani will never be loyal to the successor. Why? Because they do not feel obliged towards the successor. All right. And eventually, they had become so powerful and influential that they started, pitching one sultan against the another, started playing political games, right? Started playing political games and started, acted as king makers also. What do you mean by king makers? So they were actively involved in the process of, overthrowing someone, putting someone on the throne, whoever they liked, whoever they willed, whoever they thought was good enough for their nobility. Okay? All right. Now, so the 40 acquired domination on the affairs of the state so much that, no one could really defy them. Fine? So they had actually become so powerful that no one dared to defy them. All right? Even the sultans were somehow scared of them, isn't it? The sultans were also scared of them because they are the nobility. They form the administrative core of the empire. Now, without their support, it was obviously not possible to win any battle of succession. All right. Now, we have one member who is going to break the Turkan-i-Chahalgani, and that's Balban. Balban himself was an active member of the 40 before he ascended the throne. Now, because he was an active member, he was very well aware about their, strengths and their weaknesses, okay? So, when he became the king or when he came on the throne, he knew how to handle them. He knew what is to be done with these people, okay? So, he knew that their real strength as well as their sense of loyalty towards the family of Iltutmish, okay? So basically what he did, so as I told you, he was the one who was actually able to come out of their, web, right? So he carefully made a plan to guard against the intrigues and conspiracies of the members of the 40. What was his plan? Now remember, he's the sultan. So one by one, he started eliminating the 40 members. Okay? And this gave a death blow to the Turkish nobility to which he once belonged. So he understood. So can you see the cunningness which is there? And I would not say this is the cunningness. This is actually how, empires work, right? So he himself was a member of the Turkan-i-Chahalgani. He was part of the 40 slaves who Iltutmish had appointed to protect him initially and then later on perform various administrative and tasks of the governance. All right. So now because he was the member of the Turkan-i-Chahalgani, he was able to do what? He was able to protect himself against the plans and the intrigues of these, various 40. Okay. How was he able to do that? So he planned on eliminating them one by one. One by one, these 40 members were killed. Yes, and this gave a death blow to the Turkan-i-Chahalgani, and no longer were they in control of the Delhi Sultans. Now, from here onwards, the Delhi Sultans were more or less independent to take decisions on their own. And you all know the contributions that Balban has made, isn't it? He has made some variety of contributions here in the Delhi Sultanate, which we will definitely talk about in detail when we have another lecture when we have another video. Okay, so what have we discussed here? Here we discussed the concept of Turkan-i-Chahalgani. We discussed that the Delhi Sultanate had established themselves. Now they needed a nobility to help them govern. They could not really trust the landed magnates or the aristocrats because there was a chance that these people could topple over the sultans. So Iltutmish gave this power to a group which was known as Amiri-Chahalgani, Chalisa, or Turkan-i-Chahalgani, right? And who were these people? These people were slaves who had the military precision or the military training, and they have been carefully purchased by Iltutmish to protect him, right? And eventually, these were the ones who were given power of governance, administrators, and eventually became very, very influential. So much so that they started acting as king makers, and without their support, no one was able to win in the battle of succession, right? But then it was Balban, who himself was a part of the Turkan-i-Chahalgani, that he was able to break free from their web by carefully eliminating them one by one. That's it. So I really hope that the concept or this topic of Turkan-i-Chahalgani is absolutely clear. Now this is a very important topic as far as the administration of Delhi Sultanate, particularly during Iltutmish, is concerned. So I really hope that you guys have understood this and there's no difficulty at all. If there is, please feel free to address them with me in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to take it with you all. All right? So till then, this is me, Nicky Sinha, signing off. Till then, please take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.